To many people in fiction or even reality, some people have rivals. Those who inspire us to improve ourselves, those who we want to surpass, and also those who inspire to have the same goal as we. Or there are rivals that you just literally want to kill. So yeah, today's top 10 is my favorite rivalries in video games and anime. In this list, I'm going to be going down to my top 5 favorite rivalries, mostly due to their relationship with each other, how they act around each other, how well that they do around each other, and also why I think the rivalry is cool and all. And not only that, I'll also go through a little bit of, character spoilers for each anime and game, and basically want to explain on why I love each one. So, with that said, let's get into this, shall we, guys? Number 5, Kyo Kusanagi and Iori Yagami from the King of Fighters franchise. Kyo and Iori, these guys have been one of, fighting games' most infamous rivalries. Most people don't know about them, but anyone who does know that these guys have one of the most fearsome rivalries ever in video game history. And their rivalry is mostly stemmed from their family bloodlines, due to their clans originally being close allies. However, due to manipulation from their sworn enemies, both of them their clans now hate each other. As for Kyo and Iori, you would think that their rivalry stems from this deep, long, warring bloodlines between these two clans. Nope. These two just literally hate each other just to hate each other. Every time when they get a chance to fight one another, they just want a chance to just beat the shit out of each other with no regards to their well-being whatsoever. Kyo is literally the main hero of the King of Fighters franchise, even though he's not the main protagonist of each arc of the KOF games. He's mostly as the forefront of all the major issues of the game. As for Iori, he was only introduced in KOF 95, where he joined the Rivals team. He mostly despised taking place in the KOF tournaments and only takes place if he gets the chance to beat the shit out of Kyo. So after that day, the two basically became the faces of rivalry within the KOF brand as a whole. And it's just so crazy how much these two hate each other for no apparent reason besides that they just can't stand one another. But other than that, they do end up, putting their rivalry aside when it comes to the well-being of the world and also those that they care about, being their friends, family, or acquaintances that help them during their journey through the KOF tournaments. They're always willing to put that aside for the greater good, and you can't help but respect that. And that's why I believe that these two are one of the best rivalries in fighting game history. Hell, you would also think that these guys act more like bickering brothers than anything, if they didn't, keep on trying to kill each other. Number 4, Asta and Yuno from Black Clover. Now, this is literally one of the most wholesome, anime rivalries I've ever seen, and also going to be on this list as well, when giving the next 3 entries. Yuno and Asta were both orphans at a young age, abandoned by the Spade Kingdom, and raised in an orphanage. These two have dreamt of becoming the Wizard King, and trying to become strong together. But as the years go by, Asta not awakened his magic, and Yuno considered to be a freaking prodigy, their, relationship as brothers and best friends became somewhat strained for a while. But as time goes by, Yuno still remembers and still also looks up to Asta, not just as his rival, but also as his brother. With the two striving to become Wizard King, and even though they've joined different, Magic Knight, squads, they still have each other's backs and will always do whatever it takes to work with one another. Asta is literally the biggest loudmouth I have ever seen in anime history. The dude can give Naruto and Luffy a run for his goddamn money, for example. But he is the typical Shonen Jump protagonist after all. So you can't actually help not love the guy. Plus, you gotta love his determination and those anti-magic swords as well. Not only that, I'm kind of a sucker for the underdog heroes after all. Not only that, let's talk about my boy Yuno, who literally is the main reason why I still watch and read Black Clover in the first place. Yuno may be a prodigy, and some people say that he is an emotionless, but that's literally his charm. He's not really emotionless, he just has a hard time reading the situation, unless it involves, well, Asta. Other than that, he's a really awesome guy that will do whatever it takes to protect those he cares about, either be his comrades, his country, or specifically his rival/brother. And that's why these two are ranked number 4 on this list. Not only that, how can you not love when these two team up together and try to one-up each other while fighting against a common enemy? It's just so damn badass. Number 3, Scorpion and Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat franchise. Now we're getting into one of the oldest rivalries in video game and actually media history, if I do say so. Scorpion, once known as Hanzo Hasashi, a member of the Shiryu assassination clan, defecting branch of the Lin Kuei assassins of China, at which Sub-Zero or Sub-Zeros are a part of, being Bi-Han and Kuai Liang. The first Sub-Zero being Bi-Han, as Scorpion believed that he was the man that murdered his entire family, which in the first Mortal Kombat tournament, Scorpion killed thoroughly to get his vengeance. Until, well, Kuai Liang basically took up the Sub-Zero mantle as well to get vengeance on Scorpion, which basically perpetuates the limitless cycle of vengeance and hatred, I can't forget about hatred as well, known in the Mortal Kombat franchise. But how can these two not hate each other? Especially with Scorpion's specialty being Hellfire and the Sub-Zero brothers being that of Cryomancers from another realm after all. So yeah, how can you not love these two basically being rivals? However, you gotta give it to Mortal Kombat X and 11 showing these two rivalries from people who couldn't stand each other due to misunderstandings to working together to protect Earthrealm from those who wish to conquer it or do it harm. I mean, both Hanzo and Kuai Liang are awesome. When the two work together, they're basically an unstoppable threat. Not only that, this rivalry still has a special place in my heart. For, well, familiarity ties mostly. But other than that, these two Mortal Kombat poster boys will always be one of my favorite rivalries. Number 2, Reen Sworzer and Crow Armbrest from the Trails of Cold Steel saga. Now we're getting into one of my favorite JRPG rivalries, which is from one of my favorite story-based JRPGs actually. And I know some of you already know about my boy Reen, but for those who don't know about Trails of Cold Steel or one of the gaming's greatest protagonists, I'll give you somewhat of a rundown about him. Reen Sworzer, a practitioner of the 8 Leaves, one blade style swordsmanship, came to Thor's military academy to find his way and find a path for himself through not knowing about his past after all. Through this, he meets a colorful cast of friends, classmates, and also many dangerous people on his journey to find himself. But there's one person that basically became one of his closest friends and one of his most dangerous enemies, that being Crow Armbrest. When you first meet Crow, he acts like your slacker senior who he doesn't take things too serious, have a little bit of fun and jokes around with with his friends and always willing to mess with them from time to time, while also being somewhat realistic as well. But behind that cheerful demeanor and that bad boy personality, he's actually the leader of the first antagonist group in the Cold Steel saga, being the Imperial Liberation Front, and goes by his code name C, actually. Not only that, in the game as a party member, he uses twin pistols, but when he's C, he busts out one of the most powerful weapons in the game, being a double saber, and also being one of the most dangerous characters in the first two Cold Steel games. Not only that, even being one of the catalysts that started the Civil War within the second game, being the awakener of the Azure Divine Knight, Udine, with Reen being the awakener of the Ashen Knight, Valimar. The two have conflict with each other constantly. Reen just became a Divine Knight Awakener. Crow has been a Divine Knight Awakener for 2 years. Also, Reen's trying his best to bring him back to Thor's and everyone else of Class 7, with the battle raging between each other, seeing on who is the strongest Divine Knight Awakener. Not only that, who's the best of Thor's military academy as well, with the two kind of reconciling at the end of the game, but at the end of Crow's death. But in the second game, Crow does come back to life, but as an immortal, since being Udine's awakener after all. Because of this, Crow also lost his memories and no longer remembers Class 7 or even Reen and the promise he made after all. Due to this, Reen comes in conflict with the person he thought of as his brother. And not only that, in the fourth game, Crow does regain his memories and tries his best to atone for the sins he's done as C back during the Civil War of the second game, by trying to end his own life in his own way, even though he can't truly die. But with that, Reen and everyone in Class 7 also helped him to shoulder those burdens, coming back to the class that he once saw as his family. The reason I love this rivalry is because on how layered it is. How much that Crow and Reen are basically close friends, and how much Crow basically doesn't want to hurt his friends, but he has to if it means he can accomplish his goals, no matter what it takes, even if it means hurting those he cares about. But Reen doesn't give up on Crow whatsoever. I just love how well this rivalry is done, and I'm sorry if I'm taking so long on this one. It's just one of the best in gaming history, after all. Not only that, the two basically work off each other really well, with Reen playing off more as a straight man, and, well, Crow basically becoming more of the loose cannon, even though Crow is literally 1 year older than Reen, after all. Can't help but think of these guys more than just friends, but actual brothers, with no blood relation whatsoever. Before we get to number 1, here's some honorable mentions for you guys. Ash and Paul, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl saga. Ash being kind and caring for his Pokemon, while Paul only values strength and power, making great opposites of each other, and one of the most heated rivalries, second to Ash and Gary though. Joker and Akechi from Persona 5. Both seek justice, but through their own means and through different motives though. Light and L from Death Note. Both going through a cat and mouse game with wits and intelligence, but also grow to admire one another due to their intellect and skill of intelligence. Amuro Ray and Char Aznavolt from the Gundam franchise. These two are the literal definition of perfect rivals. From enemies turn friends, turn enemies once again, with both having admire and admiration for each other, but can't truly understand each other, even though they're new types. Soul Bad Guy and Kai Keyskin from the Guilty Gear franchise. The two having one of the best fighting game rivalries in history, but don't really hate one another. just respect one another, even though Soul is Kai's father-in-law. And last but not least, Goku and Vegeta from Dragon Ball. These two have one of the greatest rivalries ever seen in anime history, even though Toriyama Sensei and Toru Animation actually care more about Goku. And now, number 1, Naruto Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha from Naruto. Now we're getting into what actually got me into making this list in the first place. Naruto and Sasuke. These two were the literal definition of a rivalry to me back when I was a kid. Sure, Goku and Vegeta had a pretty awesome rivalry, but that rivalry kind of faded from me when I saw them more working together than seeing as trying to improve on one another. But that was before the new Dragon Ball movies came out then. This was literally the definition of a rivalry to me, with Naruto being ostracized by the village, and people didn't have any hopes for this kid after all, even though he was the son of the 4th Hokage, being Minato. As for Sasuke, having his entire village slaughtered by his older brother, who was ordered to do so to stop a coup, while everyone had high hopes for him, but didn't really care about his problems. These two were total opposites, but similar at the same time, because they both understood the pain of loneliness, with the two becoming rivals, teammates, best friends, and mortal enemies. They basically have gone through a lot with their relationship, with Naruto doing his best to trying to bring back his best friend, and Sasuke trying to sever every ties he had to people trying to understand his older brother. Not only that, their very ideals on what it truly means to be a ninja always clashes as well, where Naruto basically will be the one to bear everyone else's pain and understand one another, where Sasuke wishes to basically take everyone's hatred and protect the world from the shadows. Their ideologies will always clash, even though they both understand each other's ideologies, due to them being so somewhat similar to one another. This rivalry is one of the best in anime history because it's the defining point of Naruto as a whole. Not only that, this rivalry has a special place on my heart, and the reason why it's truly number 1 is because this rivalry is special to me and my older brother, who always goes online and calls himself Sasuke. I was a huge Naruto fanboy, and he was a Sasuke fanboy. The two of us debated almost every day about who was the best, who is truly the strongest in Naruto. I always said Naruto, he always said Sasuke. When we played the Storm series, my main was always Naruto, his main was always Sasuke characters. We both clashed against one another constantly. It was annoying, but it was also one of the best times as well. Because of him, I don't think I would have gotten into Naruto as much as I did if it wasn't for him. Even though I already knew I was going to love Naruto, he was the one that cemented it as one of my favorite animes of all time. And it's the very reason why Naruto and Sasuke's rivalry is my all-time favorite in anime and gaming history. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Tell me what's your favorite rivalries in anime and gaming. Even comic books if you also feel like that as well. Also subscribe and hit that bell notification to keep up with my other videos that aren't just what ifs, but also top 10s and review and analyzation videos as well. Also check out my Discord. The link will be in the description below, where you guys can suggest what ifs to me, talk to me as well. I can give you guys my own opinions about your what ifs that you guys suggest to me. And also check out my gaming channel, which is also in the description below as well, where I play a couple of games, have a little bit of fun, just relaxing, and sometimes I'll always be playing with my girlfriend, White Fox. So, with all that said, this is Mooky, signing out. Later, guys.